What's going on, guys? Today we talking about pivoting as a business owner. Yesterday I made a video pretty much how do you find what business works, and understanding how to pick the right business for you. Today we're going to talk about pivoting. So every business owner, they pretty much know this. I had a friend, had a conversation with him yesterday about kind of his pivot as a business owner. He does art. He's been doing art now about 9 years, and he's deciding on, have I reached my ceiling with art, or do I need to pivot, do something different? Like, businesses change, business grows, business evolves. And so I made another video on this YouTube channel before about pivoting, but today I want to talk specifically pivoting as a business owner. And there's 3 things I'm going to talk about, and then I got a bonus for you. So I'm going to lay out the topics. The first thing is validating, testing the idea, and then finding something that you're going to stick to. So these are the 3 things, and then I got the bonus at the end. Let's talk about it. So the first thing is pretty much finding ideas. You have to find ideas. So pivoting as a business owner, when things get slow, right? If things are not what they used to be, if people are not purchasing how they used to, like, for example, with content, we see it on YouTube and TikTok. Content changes all the time. The trends that we had 5 years ago are not the trends now. The things that was hot 3 years ago are not hot now. The way people made videos 2 years ago are not the same now. And it could be the same for your customer base as an artist, as a creator, as a business owner, right? So when do you need to pivot, or how do you know that if you need to pivot? If you've one of the ways that I know if I need to pivot, if I one, I'm either tired of doing the same thing repeatedly and I don't feel like I can sustain it. 2, if I feel like people aren't responding to it the way that they used to before. So if I sell the product and I've sold this product over and over and over again, or if I've been putting content out the same way over and over and over again, I feel like people aren't responding to it. Maybe social media has limited my reach. Maybe they're just not interacting with it the way that they used to interact with it. Whatever it is, now is the time to pivot. So what do I do? So one thing I do is I kind of list a whole bunch of ideas. And they don't always have to be great ideas. They don't always have to be good ideas. You start by listing ideas. So that's getting a whole bunch of ideas, right? Then you validate those ideas. So validating those ideas could be, is this an idea that's going to be valid? So for example, talking to the same friend, we're going through different ideas that he kind of wanted to test. One thing he's like, okay, let's try clipping up the videos different. So what he did was he clipped up the videos, and then when he clipped up the videos, he put them on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, just to kind of see if him cutting it up differently helped. Okay, that's validating. That's testing the idea. That's figuring out if what it is working or worth it, right? Didn't get much feedback for that. So now it's like, okay, maybe do I need to make different kind of videos? So he's making videos around art. Maybe he needs to change it to make it more videos around the branding of art. Like, hey, how did I grow this much in business? How did I grow this many subscribers? How did I get this many sales? So now it's changing maybe the way that you post your art, right? So before it's just posting art, clips of the art, videos of him making art. Now it might be, okay, how did I grow my business as an artist? You can still post clips of the art, but maybe it's changing from just posting clips of the art to now posting clips of the art and posting, how did I get my business to this many subscribers? How did I get my business to this many followers? How did I generate this many sales? So it's trying and testing different ideas, right? So once you kind of have a list of different ideas, then you can go about validating them or testing them, right? And like I said, you just go one by one. You don't even have to put a lot out there, right? And the reason why I say that you validate, you test it, because sometimes when we've been doing something for so long and it stops working, we immediately go into panic mode. And we're like, okay, well, I can't do this anymore. I got to stop doing this and I got to do something totally different, which is going to lead me to my bonus point. So stay tuned for that. So when it happens like that, if you have a list of things, then you can say, okay, now once I try these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, then I can go back and reassess what is work, what is not work, what do I need to, pivot to? Can I pivot to one of these things? And then can I sustain it, which is the third point, right? So you find the ideas, you validate or test the ideas, and then you find out if it's sustainable. And the way that you find out sustainable is, take the clipping, for example. Okay, can I continue at this clipping pace? If I know that I can clip up 10 videos a day for the next however many days, will I be able to continue to sustain this pace? So it's also finding a system that kind of works for you in sustaining the pace, right? So if you're clipping it up, okay, maybe it's not 10 clips a day, maybe it's 5 clips a day. So it's finding a method, testing that method, seeing if that method can be something that can be validated, seeing if, okay, this has produced enough good results. So for him, the validation method for him was, if I get 500 views on this, 400 views on this, then I know it's a good idea. So based on what you've been doing before, finding a new idea, testing that idea, finding a metric for it. If it does X amount of views, X amount of likes, X amount of this, X amount of that, is that worth sustaining? And the reason why we find a metric is sometimes you might compare the pivot to whatever you did before. So maybe you got 1,000 views before, but because this is a new idea, you kind of need to lower that metric, for one. And two, the second thing with lowering the metric is you also need to go about, what was I finna say? You need to lower the metric, but you also need to give the metric time. You have to reassess the metric. So kind of what that means is, if I'm looking at said metric, I'm going from, okay, most of my videos get 1,000. Maybe I need to lower the metric down to 200. I know if it's a good video, if it does 200, then I know, okay, if I continue to post these 10 videos every day for the next 10 days, then I know that this can grow from 200 to 300 to 400 or whatever it is. Now, if you're used to getting 1,000 views per video, and then I start clipping up a different kind of way, and now I'm back down to like 50 views a video, then you know, okay, I've gauged it based on the metric that I had. 50 views is probably not a good idea. Let's go back to the drawing board and test the next idea. And the reason why we do that is because it's not saying that 50 views can't grow to 200, 500, 1,000, whatever, but you're gauging it based on your metric, and your metric could be views and times. So what is the time for me to be able to get what is the time that it'll take for me to get from 50 views to those 1,000 views versus 200 views to the 1,000 views? So I can say, okay, yeah, I can make this work and I can grow this to 1,000, or I can find another idea that can get me to 200 views and grow that from 200 to 1,000 in a lot less time. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because when you're doing the pivot, you're also thinking about a time metric. So when you're validating these ideas, you're validating them based on your metrics. The metrics could be views and time, but most of it's kind of time. Like, how long will it take me if I pivot from this idea to this idea? How long will it take me to be able to get to the metric, the realistic metric that I set based on previous data? And let me know if this is going over your head, based on previous data that I've had in my business. So if I know that I average 4 sales a day, right, with my original method, now I'm pivoting to a new method. So this method might only get me, okay, let me try 1 sale a day, 2 sales a day, instead of 4 sales a day. Now I know, okay, my goal is 2 now with this new method. If I don't get any sales for the first 3 days, then okay, maybe this is not a method that I want to try. It doesn't mean that you can't get a sale maybe in the next week or 2 if that's your metric, but it depends on how long you have of a window. So if your goal, realistically, if I know, okay, if I pivoted before, I can get this many sales in a week's time, then I know that that is what it is. So another example, because I feel like it's complicated and I want to try to simplify it. So another example, I do pop-ups, right? So maybe the pop-up that I'm doing now, I make $1,000 every time I do this pop-up. I've been doing this pop-up for a year, 2 years, or whatever, but now this pop-up is closing down. So now I have to pivot up to a new pop-up. I have to find a different pop-up. So am I going to want to start back from 0 with this new pop-up? No, I'm going to want to find a pop-up that can at least give me part of what I'm looking for until I'm able to scale it back up to what I'm used to. So I'm not going to go find a pop-up where I'm doing 0 sales or 100 sales or 200 sales. I might try to go find a pop-up where, okay, I can make 500 at this pop-up, but then once I kind of reorganize my stand, maybe change my visuals a little bit, find some different marketing techniques, do some samples, then I can scale it back up to $1,000 a day. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So when you're pivoting, this is kind of how you want to test your idea. How long will it be able to take me to get back to the metric that I'm at now? How long will it take me to get back to those sales? And if it's not hitting that metric, okay, like I said, my $500 or $300 and $400, then okay, maybe I need to find a different method. Because it's not saying that I can't grow whatever that particular method is to 1,000, but it'll probably take me longer to do that than it would to find a different pop-up that I can grow from 500 to 1,000. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's when you find the ideas. The idea is the pop-up. That's when you test and validate ideas. Okay, how many sales can I get off this pop-up realistically? And then you find something that's sustainable for you, right? And the sustainability is this pop-up gonna be one that's sustainable for me? Am I gonna be able to grow with this pop-up, grow my business with this pop-up? Instead of doing this pop-up, this pop-up, this pop-up, this pop-up. Does that make some sense? Instead of being all over the place, right? So those are the 3 ways I know how to pivot. And then, like I said before, I know when to pivot if the original method that I'm doing now isn't producing the results that it used to produce. And now I know I need to make some tweaks and some changes to it, right? And so here's the bonus. No shiny object syndrome. And so what that means is sometimes when businesses isn't doing well, we're like, okay, I need to scrap the whole business and then start something from scratch. And that's something I was talking to my friend about yesterday is, you know, he's like, maybe I need to go do this. Maybe I'm done with art. Maybe I'm done with this. And it's like, no, maybe you just need to find a new approach to the old dream. And that's the pivot. Maybe you need to find a new approach to the old dream. And then so if you're doing the shiny object syndrome, then that's when you say, okay, well, these people are making money over here. Maybe I need to go make money over here doing this. These people are doing this over there. Maybe I need to go over there, instead of finding a new way to rework what you have, because they could be making money over there, but you don't know when they're going to have to pivot, if they had to pivot, or how much money they realistically making. You already know what to do with your business. You already know what to do with your idea. You just kind of have to make some tweaks and changes to allow your idea to expand and grow in a different direction. It doesn't mean that it's not growing. Now it needs to grow in a different direction. So you might have been making it go this way, but now it needs to pivot and it needs to go this way. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I know when to pivot. That's how I know what to pivot and how to gauge how to pivot. And that's what I do in my own business, especially when I, like I said, with pop-ups and sales. Okay, this is the content that I need to focus on now. This is what's doing well. This is what's not doing well. I need to double down on it, or I need to scrap that content idea and then start again. It doesn't mean I need to scrap the whole business idea unless the business itself is just not doing well, and you kind of reach the point where it's like, okay, I've given everything I have. This is not sustainable like I thought it was. Let me scrap it and then go do something else. But to me, that's only when you reach that point of, I've given everything that I have to this business. I'm not willing to do it anymore. I don't want to spend no more of my time, my money, my resources. Then you can go back to the drawing board. But I feel like until you reach that, or until you're really ready to say, okay, I can walk away knowing I did everything I could with it, then you're not there yet. You probably just need to pivot the way that you do it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So now I'm in a pivoting season. I do pop-ups, but I kind of want to focus more on online, so I'm just pumping out a lot of content. I don't know what content is going to do well really until I try it and I test it. And then based on that, I can pivot in this direction or I can pivot in that direction. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So this is talking about pivoting your business. This is how you know you need to pivot your business. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Drop a like, drop a comment. Until the next time, yeah. Peace. Oh, and if you want to see some different kind of content on here than what I'm posting, let me know in the comment. If you have questions and things like that, drop them in the comments as well, so I can make a video responding to it, specifically what you're asking me, right? All right, it's your boy Ma, as I am Kenico. Peace.